what this game is.
We'll find out if we start the fucking podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to ETTO's Things of the Year. This one's about games. I'm Will.
I'm Josh.
I'm Sam.
I'm either Josh.
I'm Ben. This is the last one we're recording for the day.
If you can't
yes.
And the biggest one.
we're going to have to stretch our lips and get ready for a lot of talking. What?
You know what?
Calm down.
You calm down.
We're going to start with Josh, Ben, and I. We have the full 10 list. Josh, that isn't going to speak, and Sam only have 3. So we're going to get through ours first. Rapid fire. We might do similar. We might say all of our things at once.
Yeah, cool.
Ben, do you want to kick us off? You like games.
Cool. I do like games. I played a lot of games this year. Played a lot of bloody games. I'll rattle off a bunch in special mentions later. But number 10 on my list, I was literally playing it seconds before this recording. It's the Suika game. It's the watermelon game.
Nice.
A couple of them combined. Oh, it's rolling around. Anyway, basically all it is, you drop fruits into a tub. They merge together, make bigger fruits. Then they merge together, make bigger fruits until you get to a watermelon, and then you get points.
So is it
it's
just
very
like,
simple.
is it just like 2048 but with watermelons and fruits?
It's a cross between like 2048 and Tetris, kind
Right.
of, I would say. Because you have to avoid like filling up your bucket too much.
Okay.
And if they overflow over the top, that's when you lose. So yeah, it is a great little game. It is best $5 I've ever spent. I'm just like genuinely, it's such a zen game. I like have played since it came out. I've played like a game in the morning, a game in the evening, like when I wake up and before bed. It's just like a good like little zone out moment. And yeah, in a year with a lot of good games, that somehow managed to sneak in. So
Look, Point B was my number 1, so last year.
Yeah. Number 9 is Diablo 4. Josh may also have that on his list somewhere, or he may not.
I don't.
Oh, well, there you go.
Really doesn't value your fucking time, Ben.
No, that's very fine. Yeah, fun game. I think really well made. This one honestly could have slipped off for a few other things, but not because it's bad, just because there were too many good games this year.
Yeah, and you had a great time with your friends.
I had a great time with my friends. I played this through twice, once with my friend Matt, and then once with Josh and Matt again. And it was fun. Did lots of killing some demons. It was good.
It was a great time.
Good time. Planet of Lana is number 8.
Nice.
It's a wonderful, cute little game. I loved it so much. It's just kind of like vibes, good vibes, kind of, I think the way someone described it to me, and I was like, that's perfect. It's like Star Wars Visions if it was a video game.
Yeah.
And it is surprisingly like fun little, it's one of those games where it's just like a 2D side scroll and you're walking across this planet. It's very beautiful looking. All the backgrounds hand painted, all that gorgeous. And it's kind of, you come across these little puzzles and you're like, these are the kind of things that I feel like are going to get annoying. But they never do get annoying. They're always quite good little puzzles that are nice and creative and don't overstay their welcome.
This should have, I should have put this on my top 10, towards the bottom of my top 10, but I forgot.
Yeah.
I only did my like other 5
Yep.
before we started recording all of our pods today. So
very fair. Number 7, and this is the point at which we're getting to. This is remarkable because this would probably be like top 1 or 2 in another year. I don't know how Final Fantasy 16, which is a game I fell in love with, like genuinely loved that game so much, is number 7 because it was very good, but it was kind of just like a Final Fantasy action game with some really cool epic set pieces. And honest, like Ben Starr, the who plays Clive, and just like superb performance throughout the game. And yeah, like genuinely for a Final Fantasy game, I would say, some people are going to be offended by me saying this, for a Final Fantasy game, had quite a good story. And yeah, I enjoyed that quite a lot. And then number 6 is Jusant, which I think I've told Will and Josh that they should both play this game. Basically, it's a very simple game. You're just climbing up a big rock tower. It's just another one of those like calm and peaceful games. You kind of just like there's not too much music. It's a lot of just listening to the wind kind of go by and like wind chimes and that kind of stuff as you climb up. You are this person climbing up, and there is like all these abandoned like ruins built into the side of this big structure, and you'll kind of get little notes and stuff that indicate what's maybe going on. There's been like a big kind of drought, that kind of thing, because it's at you start at the bottom in this like basically completely deserted like lake area, initially I was like just jumped into it because I was on Game Pass, and I was like, this looks fun. I played the demo of it. It had pretty like tight mechanics, and by the end of it I was like, this is a genuinely like gorgeous, phenomenal game. And I was so surprised by like how much I loved it in the end, because it feels like one of those games that I've seen a game doing this before, very beautiful, gorgeous. It's a journey. It's a kind of like a journey game, but it still hit me really hard, even though I kind of vaguely knew what was coming, and I think it had like a very satisfying, beautiful ending. Those are my 6 through 10.
Nice. I'm just on my want to play, because I think that'll be a big Will game for sure.
For sure.
Josh?
Great. So my 10 to 6. My first one is Blasphemous 2. I haven't played it, but I feel like this would be on the list because I love Blasphemous 1. And I just wanted to give it a shout out. Look, I played 5 games in the last week and a half to try and catch up on games that I hadn't played this week, and I finished a bunch of them. It's the most amount that I've played this year. Sea of Stars, I did only get to play 2 to 3 hours of this as well this year, but I've loved what I've played. It's quite a long game. It's a indie pixel art, like love letter to JRPGs, reminiscent of Chrono Trigger, which is a Super Nintendo game. I'm very, very keen later this month and probably early next year to jump into much more of that. Metroid Prime Remaster as well. Absolutely loved what I have played this year so far of that. Keen to jump back in, and in a later podcast, keen to see what is in the future of these past games. Good. Number 7 for me, Mario Wonder. Just have had such a good time with it. It's such a fun, creative, joy-filled game with much frustration for my wife. She loves and hates it so much because it's very hard. Some of the levels are ridiculous. It's just a fun time to sit down and play with somebody else. And it almost never like brings something back, like brings back another mechanic in the sort of Wonder Seeds where everything gets weird and trippy. It constantly changes it up. And if it does come back, it comes back differently. Like there's something different about it, even though it looks similar or is reminiscent of how it has appeared to you before, which is very cool. So it's just constantly changing. We're still getting brand new enemies, and we're at the last area. We're about to finish the game. Probably tonight we'll finish it. And there's still new enemies and things.
Such a creative game. It's
so cool. And every enemy is very different too. Like when you start a level and you see a new enemy, they do a very clever thing where you're not in danger, but you see what it can do. So as soon as the level starts and they introduce you to a new enemy, you're like, okay, that's how that thing works.
Yeah, right.
Now I have to work out how to maneuver around that thing, which is cool. Very, very nice, like mini tutorials, just very quick at the start of a level with new enemies. It's very cool. And my number 6 is Spider-Man 2. Didn't make it on the list. But really enjoyed it, platinumed it. Just had a great time. Love
so exciting
games. Love every Spider-Man game.
For you to have Spider-Man 2 so low, I'm so excited to know what your top 5 are.
There's some weird ones on there.
That's very exciting.
I adored the rest of them. It was close. It was close to the list.
6 is a good spot.
4 out of the 5 games that I've played I played in the last week and a half are in my top
The top
5.
5. Yeah, amazing. So no recency bias at all.
Love them. I honestly don't think so.
Genuinely, no. Yeah.
Yeah, they are really cool, interesting games.
Yeah, cool.
Yes.
That's exciting.
So, yeah.
My 10 to 6, we'll start with number 10, Hi-Fi Rush. I still really love what that game did, and it was
Nice.
probably for a lot of people the first game they played for the new year, and it just dropped out of nowhere. Beautiful art style and cool mechanically. Just gets a little bit tiring or tired by the end of the game, but for people that have Game Pass and stuff, it's well worth jumping into and having some fun with.
I'm glad I jumped back into that after like 2 months break. I think I started feeling tired, and then I jumped back in about halfway through the game and finished it off.
Yeah,
great.
And the last hour of it is easy, so it's a nice thing to come back to and just breeze through.
Yeah.
That it made it into my honorable mentions. That's a game that like 100% would have been there in any other year, but
Totally. It's been a good year. Obviously, one of the best games of all time. Lake had a DLC, and that is my number 9, Lake Season Greetings. It's only 3 hours
number
long.
1, crazy.
I know. There's better games this year. Well, there isn't, but it has to, sit down for a little bit. I adore Lake, the first game, which is basically just a Oz Post delivery simulator, and that's all I need it to be. It's very quiet. It's very fun, and this was just a nice journey back into the world of Lake. And it's the same, but there's snow now.
Is it free or paid DLC?
This is paid. I think it's $14, which is, if you like the thing, it's worth it. But it might be worth a sale wait. Number 8 for me is Mortal Kombat 1. I only recently jumped into them. I think the last 2 I've played, and I really enjoyed those. So I was keen for this one, and it is cinematic and fun and silly. And I think this one, it's built to be a reboot of the series. And it's a very good jumping on point if you like fighting games, but also want a really fun, 80s schlocky story. This has it. It ends in a place which is very fun and silly, and very of the moment, which might disappoint some people. But I loved it. I don't play online. I will never play as Homelander or Peacemaker or anything like that. But I played it for the story and I really liked it. But maybe I'll jump in. I want to play as Peacemaker at the very least. I think that would be quite fun. I want to hear John Cena's voice lines.
Omni-Man's in that now as well, isn't he?
Yeah, the only one that hasn't got the actual voice is Homelander.
That I'm very sad they didn't get J.K. Simmons for that.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, sorry, they did get J.K. Simmons.
They got
for that.
J.K. They didn't get Anthony Starr, which is a big shame because he voiced him for COD. So it's very strange that they didn't get him in for this. That's my number 8. Number 7 is Assassin's Creed Mirage. It was just lovely to be back in a simple, fun Assassin's Creed game. For anyone that kind of has fallen off the franchise since Origins, this is a nice way to come back into it and experience the best of the new games and the old kind of in one package. There's not much new going on in this because of that, and so if you're someone who has followed the series, this might feel like a bit of a back step, but for people that have been away from it, it's a very simple, fun, old style video game that it's just I only played the main section. I know, Josh, you've gone a bit harder into it and gotten a little bit more out of it.
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't like platinum it, but I did when I bought it. There was like a pre-order DLC.
Yes.
Called like the 1,000 Thieves or something like that.
The Alibaba.
Yeah, it was all about Alibaba. It was like a salesman who was murdered. It was cool. Yeah. Great game. Loved it.
Very fun.
Love the Assassin's Creed series. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Of course, I was going to love it.
You got the statues. And then my number 6, I haven't actually finished it, but I've been really enjoying it. The Master's Pupil, I thought was just a wonderful indie video game. This is the one that, not Picasso. Whose art was it, Ben? I can't remember.
I'm looking at it. I'm literally looking it up now because I can't remember.
No, it wasn't Van Gogh. Maybe it was. No,
Monet.
It's an indie game that kind of traverses through a lot of his art and takes on a lot of those stylings. Really, it's just a color theory game. All the puzzles kind of revolve around painting your little guy and being able to solve puzzles that way. It is the perfect balance of almost too hard, and then you're like, oh shit, hang on, I got it. And I love that in these. There will be a puzzle game that I don't think does that very well, a little bit higher on my list, but that one is a little bit more clever, so it's up there. But this one is such a sweet game.
It's made by like one Australian guy too.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
Yeah. So
Was it the one where it
very
was
impressive.
he hand painted everything and then just put it into
Yeah.
the computer?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it's an awesome game.
I haven't
and-
even heard of it. That sounds awesome. I just looked it up. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So I was very happy to jump into that. That's my number 6.
Number 5 for me is Lies of P. That rhymed. It's pretty easy to rhyme P. It rhymes with a lot of stuff. Lies of P is a Dark Souls style game set in the Pinocchio story universe. I don't know how to do. It's based on Pinocchio as you go through Krat and the whole area where Pinocchio is set to fight off big bosses and stuff as you do. I'm not big into specifically the Dark Souls series traditionally. I just never really clicked with it. Particularly the gameplay style I just didn't find particularly interesting. Not the like difficulty. I was fine with the difficulty. It was just like the way combat kind of ended up just being like dodging about and not really like actually using like parries or blocks or anything. Immediately this game clicked with me in a way that Sekiro clicked with me, because that's very based on parries. This game also you don't have to parry, but it is very much beneficial to parry because you can break your enemy's weapons, and that means they have like less range with their weapon and stuff, and there's cool mechanics built into that. So I thought, combat wise, super duper fun. In terms of these style of games often have very convoluted stories that can be hard to follow. And it has elements of that, but it's actually done a really good job of like telling a very like good video game story. It probably helps that people have a base knowledge of the Pinocchio story, but it also just does a good job of not being like too over the top, like weird and like, oh, you have to go talk to this guy to get the full picture. It's like, no, it just tells like a good story throughout it. A really cool, interesting version of the Pinocchio storyline with some cool teasers at the end for like some weird. I don't think any of you are going to play it, so I'm going to say it.
Sure.
They tease at the end that Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz is like in this world, and so it seems like they're setting up some weird like multi kind of fairy tale,
like Shrek.
Now I want to play it. That might have got me in. Cool.
So that's like in a post-credit thing, but they've announced there's DLC coming for it, and I just think I think it's a really like, well, I think it's a better version. I'm probably one of the only people who thinks it's a better version of what Dark Souls does, but I think for most people who really like Dark Souls, they also agree this is the first game not made by From Software that does a really good job of like hitting those marks, and I think this is a great game. Also, you can dress up P in lots of cool fashion and looks really sick. You put hats on. It's a fun time.
Love hats.
I just threw hats in just in case it had some link to your number 5. But is there any hats in your number 5?
Speaking of hats, Josh.
Speaking of hats, I played a game called Resonant Tale.
You can put a hat on a tail.
There's no link. You guys tried to set me up, but I had nothing. I can't do that.
Right.
It's called Resonant Tale.
Okay.
It's a game that probably no one has heard of.
No.
But it's on the Playdate. It was like $5. It's like a love letter to Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, which was my first ever Zelda game on Game Boy Color. You play as a character called Liet, not Link. Liet. Liet, which is great. In Link's Awakening, you have to collect a bunch of musical instruments. This one, you have to collect a bunch of bells to bring harmony. Three bells to bring harmony back to the island. On Playdate, you've got you can code your games normally, but the developers of the Playdate also made software. Probably more like Game Maker sort of style, where you can just like drag and drop things onto a map, and it's designed for people that can't code and haven't made games before to be able to make games. And it's really much more tailored to like making an RPG. So it was made in that. People are making some phenomenal like good stories in pulp. There's some really cool games coming out of that. But yeah, this is one of them. Yeah, this game is just, it's so cute. The fighting is like literally once you get the sword, you just have to walk into things and it just attacks them. There is very minor usage of the crank of the playdate.
I was about to ask, does it make good use of the crank? That's all I care about.
I wouldn't say good use. It's definitely much more of a Game Boy game. But yes, Resonant Tale for the playdate.
Resonant Tale for everyone that owns the playdate.
That's it. Get on it, everybody.
My number 5 is a game I spent a lot of time in for, some result. Lego 2K Drive is my number 5. I have built so many wonderful, awesome little Lego cars. The functionality of that game is so impressive. The amount of pieces and the ease of which it is to build cars. And then the other element of the game is that you have 3 different modes of transport, and the game seamlessly rebuilds your vehicle as you go from street to dirt to water. And it's not obviously doing anything impressive in the kind of car sim or racing genre, but it is one of the best Lego experiences they've ever done. And I adored it. We got 3 uses out of it for back pocket socials, with a gradual decline in viewable, but people seem to love it. And sadly, the worst thing that's happened is that, worse, but also it was always going to happen. The shareability of the designs is very different than it was when it started. When it started, you could just upload it and they'd all jump onto a store and anyone could download it. They've now put a stipulation that it can't resemble any existing IP vehicles.
That's boring.
Which is like the entire fun of
the whole fun of it.
Yeah.
That's so weird because that's meant to be the thing that gets you around community stuff. Like
totally.
When I was making sports games, we weren't allowed to put in players that we didn't have licenses for.
Yeah.
But the community would put them in, and that's how we would get.
You could have them in there.
We didn't put them in.
Yeah, I guess in this case, Lego has so many connections to IP that the legality of having something they don't actually own exist in a video game might be a little bit murky. But
They technically,
the creativity hasn't gone, but the kind of community aspect is a little bit lacking. But I had so much fun in it, and I'm sure it's a game that will sit on my hard drive to jump into if I ever think of something I want to try and build in the future. But yeah, that's my number 5. But you said you have a number 4?
Yes, I have a number 4.
All right.
Yeah, so
Join the party, Josh.
I only thought of this when you're doing your 10 to 6s. Viewfinder.
That wasn't already there. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, I jumped in it and I did it. I played it.
Number 4 as well.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
So I played it and it was really cool. It was just an awesome mechanic. It was similar to
Superliminal.
Yep. It was just a really awesome puzzle game, and it was just fantastic. Only problem with the game was a little glitch.
Okay.
I was like, I had to multiply batteries, but when I took a picture, the battery wasn't there in the photos and stuff. So
yeah, right.
like, I was frustrated, and then almost looked online, and I was like, "No, okay, let's get out of the game and then go back in."
And it was all good.
And it was a fix, and I was able to do that.
There was definitely a few moments in the game that it's unclear if it is a bug or not, or if it's the game being clever. And for the most part, it's being clever, but I could understand that one.
But it was just,
a bit frustrating.
That one I just didn't know if it was clever or just a bug, and it was a bug. But other than that, it was really good. And like the storyline, like you don't really care about the storyline, but I think it's set up to do another story of some sort. I don't know if they'll use this mechanic or they'll use this one and a new mechanic, or I'll try find a new mechanic to do.
Yeah, no, I adored it. This is the one that was kind of like, I liked the mechanics more, but I think for me, I found it a little easy for the most part, and kind of because the game is very well made, not because I think I'm amazing. I just think the game did great at establishing a mechanic and then instantly using it. So it made it fairly easy to get through without much struggle, which was disappointing, but I enjoyed it more than the Muscle Pupil.
It's not on my list, but it definitely deserves a shout out. But it's like, I think it's benefit that it's not any harder than that. I actually think the game works well as a very specific, like, micro, like it is an exact length. It knows how long it wants to be. It knows how complex it wants its puzzles to be, because it knows if its puzzles get much more complex, it's too much for the brain. And I think that they did a really good job of that. You can listen to Josh and my full thoughts. We did a full spoiler breakdown of it on the side quest.
Sure did.
Check that out.
That's
but
cool.
yeah,
I'll
no,
jump on that.
I agree with you, Joshua.
Yeah.
That's my number 4 as well.
You want to say anything more about that, or
I think it's very good.
cool?
Ben, what do you think is very good?
Number 4, a game I think is very good. Incredible it's not number 1. This is where it really gets incredible. Like, these 4 games are like greatest of all time material. Number 4 is Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know where it is on your list, Josh. I don't know.
Neither do I. Who could guess?
Well, okay, no. I say I don't know. I think I know where it is on your list. So should we wait till then to talk about it?
Might as well be.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, fantastic game, and yeah, it's only this low arbitrarily.
Oh man, so insane.
Yeah, like it's pretty damn good. So,
I understand why it could be this low, considering the caliber of things that came out this year.
if you told me it in May or whenever it came, I would be like, that's absurd and ridiculous. But there has been 3 games since then that have somehow gone past it. So yeah, we'll get to that when we get around to it. But
plus, we have 7 podcasts.
Oh yeah, we did we did a whole series.
Yeah. But cool. My number 4 is VR Skater for the PS VR 2. I started playing this at the start of this week, and it is so freaking good. My goodness, it feels so good to control. Your hands are your arms are essentially mimicking what your feet would do on an actual skateboard. So when you swing your arm, that's like your leg pushing. You good?
Something fell in my cupboard.
Well, they can't see it.
Right.
No. That scared the shit out of
It was Josh was skating through your cupboard.
That's right.
right. Oh shit.
So when you swing your arm, that's like pushing and the board starts moving forward. There was like a very brief moment of, almost every time I'm like stationary and then start pushing, there's a very brief moment of like motion sickness. Because I'm like, I know I'm not moving, but it feels freaking weird. But yeah, like I've adjusted to that. I've played a few VR games over the last few weeks. And yeah, this one it's so freaking fun. I went through all of the kind of like expert tutorials last night. I smashed through all of them, got to the like actual campaign, which is
you're an expert now.
You create, that's right. You do like little lines. It puts you in just like a neighborhood. So it'll put a trash can on the side on like on a sidewalk, and you just have to push up to it and do tricks over it. And you get points, and you've got to, reach certain amounts of points on 3 attempts of tricks and things like that. Like it's very cool. I think there's a bunch of other modes, like escape modes that I haven't experienced yet. But it's so cool. It's so much fun. Using my theory of how I know skate tricks are done, not that I can do them, but knowing like what foot does what to create that actual effect. It just works in the game, which is really cool. So I'm like landing tricks I would never be able to land in real life.
So it's like your hands are now the fingers on a tech deck.
Yeah. So yeah, my number 4, VR Skater. It's so much fun. I was so excited when I found out it was coming to PSVR 2. And it just came out maybe about a month ago.
One day I'll love something as much as Josh loves skating.
Yeah. I don't think you will. Right. I don't think anyone will.
Because I don't know anyone who.
I don't even think Sam loves Superman as much as Josh loves skating.
No chance.
I've never met someone who loves something so much in reality. They'll do it in virtual reality.
Yeah. Well, he can't break himself in VR.
That's true. It's safe in VR, but
exactly right.
Or to the level where I would give every guest at my own wedding a tech deck.
I don't know. I can imagine Sam giving everyone a bit of kryptonite.
Wait, did you actually?
Yeah.
Sick.
My mum spent like a month or two.
That is the only reason I have this.
Sourcing second-hand tech decks so that we would have over 100 tech decks to hand
That
out
is
to
so funny.
every guest at my wedding as a little gift.
Just like
That's so funny.
Just like skateboards.
I think.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So that's number 3 for Sam.
Well, we're now up to number 3 for Sam.
Yeah.
Hello, Sam.
Hey, Sam, do you want to talk?
Hello. My turn. Yay. Number 3 for me is Jedi Survivor. I thought it was okay. I think for me, it fell a little bit short. I definitely enjoy the first one better, I think. It was just long as well. Like I found myself getting to certain points being like, oh, that was a cool ending. And I just kept going. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was enjoyable. I mean, I love Star Wars, so anything in that world is sick. I still think that Cal Kestis is one of like the best Star Wars people out there. Like put him in a movie or a TV show or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, like my only gripe is that it was a bit long and it just gets a bit repetitive. But other than that, good stuff.
Yeah, it was my number 3 as well. I enjoyed it, but I took so long to enjoy it. I really hated it at first. Ben and I talked about it.
That never went out, did it?
I've still got it.
We did talk about it. No, it's so funny because I'm probably the highest on it,
and it's not on
the 3 of us. No, it's not even close to on my list. But you know, like again, if it would have been probably most other years, it would have been in like the bottom half, I think, or maybe in the top few in quite a year. I think it's a very good game. I think it iterates on the first one in some really good ways. I agree it doesn't nail the landing of everything, but I think it's doing more to set itself apart from like generic Star Wars than previous game did. And I appreciate that, even if it doesn't 100% nail it in the end. And yeah, I love the cast and I love their relationships and excited to see a finale, hopefully.
Yeah.
A third.
I think that's the funny thing. I don't think the story is great, but I think it does a very good job at making me go, oh, I actually wouldn't mind more of this. Whereas the first game, I was kind of like, I don't need another one. This one,
I think I said it,
pushes the characters a bit.
I think I said it in our pod. I just really like how much it uses Star Wars, like actual Star Wars, not just normal person Star Wars.
Yeah. The nerd shit.
And then there's weird aliens and shit. Like the fact Turgle is, rest in peace Turgle rap. But no, the fact that you just get your weird aliens that I feel like Star Wars, especially in stuff like Andor, you just don't see at all.
Yeah. And sexy bounty hunter Kit Fisto.
Definitely keen to try and jump into this next year and catch up on it. I think it came out the weekend it came out. I was in Sydney, and then the week after that, Zelda came out, and there was just no hope from there of getting back to this game against Zelda.
No. Yeah. Star Wars doesn't beat Zelda. I loved it, but it's only a number 3. I'm trying to work this out.
Wait, Josh has it's Finchy.
Finchy has a number 3.
All right, so I hope you don't mind. I'm going to break the mold here. I'm going to very much break the mold, and I'm not going to go a video game. I'm going to go...
Right. Okay, maybe we might.
I'm going to go a tabletop game.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. I'm fine with that.
You all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's knocked over so much stuff in
I'm going to tell you about Micro Macro Crime City. So this is a game that I saw down in PAX. So basically it's the map of a city.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of crime happening in there, and you are the lead detective on 16 cases, and you basically just have to figure it out. And it's just a whole lot of fun.
And all the cases are on the map.
All the cases are on the map, and the map is about 70 centimeters by 110. So it's a pretty decent sized map.
Yep.
And the cases get incrementally.
Yep.
Harder and harder as they go on. And if you want a challenge, you can just use the first card and then try guess the rest.
Yeah.
And so a cool thing that's going to happen, well, that is like a cool thing that's happened is that there's actually 4 maps now.
Okay.
And they'll all join together to become one map. It's out, but it's only in German. Because it's a German-based game.
Yeah, okay.
So I just got to wait for it to be translated into English, or I can just get my girlfriend to translate it.
Or you could just learn how to speak German.
Yeah, I could, but I don't want to. Easy, very nice. So yeah, that's my game number 3, and awesome. It's really, really fun. If anyone wants to know, if anyone, I don't know what I'm saying. Get into the game, please.
It's really cool. Yeah,
get behind it.
Max and I went over it at PAX to the booth on Josh's recommendation, and we played through it with a very, very enthusiastic South African man who he must have run through it with hundreds of people at PAX, and he was so excited that we were there to play this game with him. Like, I can't believe that he was as excited as he was after 3 days of doing that.
I love enthusiastic exhibitors. They make me so happy at PAX.
It's so cool.
Because it's it's so common to see jaded people, and I get why. This is not me having a go at most exhibitors, because PAX is grueling. Yeah. But then it brings me joy to see the people who are like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, so passionate about it. My family and Max's family this year are both doing Secret Santas, and Max and I have both worked out between the two of us that we are getting the 3 that are released currently in Australia. So we're going to be getting all of them over the span of 2 days, which we're very excited about because we're keen to jump in. But one thing that Josh didn't mention, it was on our PAX podcast. I think we discussed this too, but for people that didn't listen to that, the map with all of the crimes, the crime is done as a time lapse across the town. So it'll start at an apartment block, and then you can follow the characters that you can see at the apartment block who the crime is, connected to. You can kind of see them following each other or something across the town. So one character will appear multiple times across the map, which means with all 4 maps, they've preemptively come up with this idea to join all 4 maps, and there's characters on the first map that are also potentially on the 4th map, released however long later. And it's going to span this huge city rather than just this one smaller map.
But yeah, it's a game that I'm probably going to be on next year's list as well. So
yes,
yeah,
nice. So number 3 from Ben.
I'm doing live change. I can't decide between 2 and 3. I don't know. Fuck it. Again, all these games are possibly one of my favorite games of all time. So I don't really know. Number 3 is Alan Wake 2. At one point it was 1. At one point it was 2. And now it's at 3. And it's not, I don't know why. This is, at this point, I have no clue about the decisions I'm making.
They're all number 1.
Yeah, totally. Alan Wake is...
This is Alan Wake 2, so it's number...
Alan Wake...
It's technically 2. It's not number 1. So.
Yeah, no. So I never played number 1. I had played Control, which is also technically a prequel to this game. They are tied. They are a shared universe. I really enjoyed Control a lot. It was one of my favorite games of that year, but that was a much quieter year, not really big releases, and it probably wouldn't have made it in a lot of other years. But this is genuinely easily the best game Remedy has ever made, and possibly one of the best games, not only in the genre, because it's a survival horror game, and I think it's the best survival horror game there is, but it's also not really a survival horror game. It's a meta commentary on media and writing and so many different things. It mixes live act, it has FMV, mixes that in with gameplay and in weird and wacky ways. It's visually just gorgeous. Thank God I bought a new graphics card this year, because let me tell you, this game, all souped up, just amazing looking. And yeah, it's hard to talk about it without really it's one of those ones where like it'll spoil a lot of what makes the game great. But I think like the game just does a fantastic job of like playing with your expectations, creating really cool like environments and set pieces. It's not a spoiler to say like you spend a bunch of time. There's like you play the game as Saga, an FBI agent, and that's the much more like normal survival horror for a lot of the game. You're in like a normal town. It obviously gets weird in bits, but then you also play the other half of the game as Alan Wake, and you are in like his like the dark place. You're in like this alternate reality, which you can like actively shape the world by like writing new stories and stuff. And that is when it gets like super cool, and like it literally loads on the spot. Like it flickers in front of you to show you that it's like going between them, and then it just gives you like you're in a new environment, and it's like it's so impressive and creative. And yeah, I'm really happy to see them like progress from like that first Alan Wake 13 years ago to Control to now this. It like references the fact that Alan Wake was 13 years ago in like cool ways. It's like in the world it was 13 years ago and that kind of thing. And yeah, I just think it's like Remedy have gone from being a developer I barely knew anything about playing Control to now like possibly like my favorite game developer, just because I think they're being so creative. They also like put music in their games in just like fantastic ways. The end of every chapter in this game, you have a song. There's just an end of chapter song. You just sit there and listen to it. You can skip it, but you can just sit there and listen to it. And like obviously thematically ties into what's happening in the story a little bit, but sometimes it's just a good vibe.
I've heard it's super reminiscent of Twin Peaks. The end of every episode of Twin Peaks, like apparently in theme in the game, as well as that sort of end of every episode was a unique song by an artist performed in like a cafe or something in Twin Peaks.
You're not being pitched on like the game like as a Remedy game and Controlled, all that kind of stuff. It is basically if True Detective and Twin Peaks was a video game and like that kind of vibe, and it's like such a good execution of that to a point where like a TV show could never do it in that way. So super good. I love it a lot. That is number 3.
Nice. My number 3, I think this might be on Ben's list as well, so we can discuss this. And I'm sorry, Ben, we may be skipping, or we can discuss it later as we're discussing Tears of the Kingdom later as well. But my number 3 is Cocoon.
Yeah. Let's talk about this now. It's my number 1.
Wow. Nice.
But yeah, we'll talk about it now because we'll talk about Tears of the Kingdom. It'll all work out. It'll be nice. Yeah, you start and then I'll add.
So yeah, Ben recommended this. I remember seeing it in some maybe Xbox announcements or some sort of announcement stream, and was pretty blown away by the concept. I would explain it as 2023's thinking with portals. The idea is you carry around these orbs, but the orbs have a whole nother world to them. And you go over to a stand and you put the orb in it, and then you press a button and you get transported into the orb. Inside that orb could be other orbs, or you could take other orbs inside them. So then it becomes worlds inside worlds, and you take them in and out of each other.
Or balls inside balls, as I like
balls
to say.
Inside balls, that's right. And then at some point, it gets real trippy where you end up having a ball inside itself, which is phenomenal. Like it gets really, really weird and trippy and, kind of interestingly multiversal in really cool ways. It never gets too overwhelming, I felt as well. I was getting nervous that it might. But it does a really nice thing where it closes off, because it's like the worlds are not open world, but you travel through a lot of the world, and then once you get to a point where it wants to keep you, it closes off anything that doesn't need to be used anymore. And so that's like super helpful to keep you focused and directed. So once you use a platform or something that just doesn't need to be used, it like closes up in a weird, cool, interesting alien way. because everything's almost semi-living in a way in this world as well.
Very organic.
Yeah.
Squishy.
Yeah. This is the vaginal game. You start out. There's like this thing that sort of opens up like this, and then you
a
fall
cocoon,
out of
perhaps.
it. Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's there's a few moments where things like that, things in that shape push other things out of them.
It is, Geiger-esque. It's very pulling from that kind of aesthetic, but much more colorful than a lot of like Geiger stuff tends
Absolutely.
to be.
It's a beautiful game. It's beautiful looking. The puzzles are stunning and interesting and make you feel really smart.
I streamed the whole game and I gave each of the robots little names and carried the names throughout the playthrough, and it was great.
So good. Yeah.
I gave my balls a name.
Nice. There you go.
Happy for you.
Can you?
Huh?
What? What? Okay, let's move on.
Moving on.
He said what he needed to say.
Yeah.
So I think Ben streamed all of this in one sitting as well, so it's not an overly long game.
Yeah. It's like a 4 or 5 hour stream.
Yeah. I think I played this over maybe 3 or 4 sessions.
It was great talking to you over messages because I just kept being like, are you at 3 ball or 2 ball? Or how many balls? How many balls deep? I didn't say exactly that, but I should have.
It's so good. It was sitting there, and then it was very funny because I think I was playing at a lunchtime or something, like my work lunchtime, and I had to go back to work. And where I'd finished, I mentioned it to Ben, and Ben was like, "Are you at the end of the game?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then at the end of my workday, I went back and I literally had to walk over and then press a button, and then
credits.
the end of the game started. Like, it was
Amazing.
the end of game animation, and the credits started rolling.
Wow!
Like, I literally just had to walk about 3 seconds and press a button. The other interesting thing with this game too is it's very simple in the way that it's literally just one joystick to move around and one button to do everything. There's not multiple buttons or button combinations or triggers or bumpers or anything like that. It's literally just joystick and the A button or the X button if you play on PlayStation. It's on Game Pass, so if you've got Game Pass, jump into it on Xbox or PC. But yeah, it's just, the controls are simple. It's very easy to understand. The puzzles aren't, like, they get pretty interesting, and like, I got stuck a couple of times, but I never used a walkthrough. I eventually just went, crap, that's it, that's the thing, and then figured it out from there, which was great. But yeah, just absolutely phenomenal game.
Because you're touching on the reasons why this is ultimately the one that is at the top, and it's like, of all the games there's like 4 or 5 that I could put at the top. This probably stuck there the longest, which is why I have it here, and it's because this game is like the masterpiece design of like scope and this is a 5-hour game that is just absolutely like the perfect amount of game of what they are trying to do, and it teaches you how to play the game without ever telling you anything.
There's no HUD.
Yeah, there is no HUD. There is no tutorial. Literally doesn't even ever tell you what button to press unless you go into the menu and look, and it says you press this button. But it's like, the game tells you nothing, and yet does such a fucking amazing job at just like showing you how to do everything. And just like, as you progress through the world, learning more and more and more, to the point where when you get to these end game puzzles where, it is literally, you have like 4 different colored balls, and you're like having to put one inside the other to like bounce stuff in through one world into another. It just gets like, you're doing this insane, like, complicated stuff, but you feel it feels like it makes sense, and it feels intuitive, it's satisfying. Yeah, and it feels like it's inherently like super duper complex. If you like take a step back and like, oh, this is like insane, but then in the moment you're like putting the dots together in a way that is so clever. Yeah, there was only like one puzzle I ever got properly stuck on, and that was it was like 4 hours into a stream and I was quite tired, and then when I realized that, I was like, that makes sense.
That's why I compare it to Portal, because I feel like Portal has the same thing. They barely teach you anything, but it is a slow progression of learning more and more complex ways to use the tools that they've given you.
And I just think, like, the other games I'll talk about, big giant scope, my other game I will talk about is possibly one of the biggest games ever in terms of scope. And it's like, I think one of the like reasons I love this game so much is because how well it knows what it is and what it should be. And similar to Viewfinder, but it does it better than Viewfinder, I think, just knows how long it needs to be. This is what the game is, and this is exactly like the vision I have for it. And stops at exactly the right time where I'm like, if you kept going with this, I would go insane because these puzzles are too much. But like, it leaves you feeling like satisfied that you had the experience. And it's like, it's a game. Outer Wilds is one of my favorite games of all time, and it's like up there with that in the sense that I will never be able to re-experience it. But I think that's like something so wonderful about that I won't be able to like have those moments because it's just so well designed to like get you through the experience in that manner. So yeah, phenomenal game. And as Josh said, that coupled with the fact that just like the vibes and aesthetics are so good in the game, and like the world, it's telling a story through a lot of just world building and like ambient stuff, and the story it does tell is actually quite like interesting in the end. And yeah, and the one thing I don't think we mentioned is the music, which is like similarly complementing like kind of like otherworldly, weird, eerie kind of vibe in a super cool way. So great game.
The fact that it's got like boss fights in a game, fact that it's got boss fights in a game with zero combat, like the way it shows you how to, defeat a boss in ways that still literally only use a pickup button.
I was so shocked it had boss fights, and then even more shocked that they were so fun.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Really, really well designed. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Nice. Number two for Sam.
Number two for me. Number two for me is Hogwarts Legacy. Purely because I think, like, and putting aside all the shit with you know who, I think as a game, it is actually really creative with what they've done, because I didn't expect it to be as open and as creative as what it is. Like, my favorite aspect of it is that in your room of requirement, you can create like 3 off rooms that are like basically farms for like animals, and you can go out into the world, get these animals and bring them back into this room, and they just live there. And it's literally like a TARDIS thing, where it's like you can see it's bigger on the inside, and then you walk into it and it does get bigger on the inside, which is cool. But yeah, like other than that, it's just like an enjoyable little game. Like, it has got many bugs and its issues, but I think in as far as like Harry Potter games go, I would say it's like the best one that's been done. Yeah,
I think so. I know for like the people who have played it, like it's really resonated with them. I think it's like
yeah, like because it wasn't like, for me, it wasn't anything like groundbreaking. But I think just having a game like that in that world to the scale it is as well, with like the size of the map and everything, I think was really, really cool. And the fact that you can just like hop on your broom, or like, you can use your broom or a hippogriff and just like fly wherever. I thought that was pretty cool. And yeah, you can like get like, new items of clothing and stuff to use at any time you want. So yeah, it's pretty decent.
It's your Escape VR.
yeah, literally. Yeah.
It's also like the kind of game where if you told, like, I didn't care about it when it came out this year, but if you told me as a kid watching all the films that like I'd be able to play that game one day, because I used to love the Quidditch game on PS2. I didn't own a PS2, but I used to go to my friend's place to play the Quidditch game. If you told me there would be a game that would like be able to do all that kind of stuff, I would be like, damn.
Except for Quidditch.
Cool.
Yeah.
Except for Quidditch.
Except for Quidditch, which is incredible. But yeah.
You know what though? Speaking of that, when you start the game, because I was like, oh my God, are we going to get to be able to like get on brooms and play Quidditch? They have like a school meeting, and the headmaster is like, due to maintenance in the grounds, you will not be playing Quidditch this year. And I was like, you motherfuckers. I'm like, that's just because your game couldn't handle Quidditch.
They tried to code it and didn't. They're like, nah.
Yeah. Can't do it. But like, if you think about it, if they can do it on a PS2 and like some crappy PC 20 years ago, mate, You can do it now.
You tell them, Josh. You
Yeah.
tell them.
You tell
Yeah, I'm gonna take him down.
With your board games and your
Yes.
Barbenheimer. What did you like about it, Josh? It's number your number
I
two.
just loved it because I'm currently reading the books as well as like watching the movies after I've read the book.
And then you're profiting off the books for yourself, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I am buying them from salvos and then reselling them so that I make 100% profit or even more. So I
Love your work.
because we do not give money to.
We don't need to do that.
Shall we not name
Oh,
names?
that's
Yeah.
so funny.
But yes, so I'm loving. So it came out and I just loved it. Like you just, jump on a broom, fly anywhere, and you can like, you can't. The one thing I would love to do is fly your broomstick through the school, like inside the school,
Yeah.
but you just can't.
Yeah.
But it's just cool, just flying around and like, just defeating all the battle stuff and like. The mechanics for different, like how to switch between different spells is really, like, I really like it. Like you can have up to 16 spells, but like they're in groups of 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you get like if you want to switch to a different group of 4, you just I don't know I forgot what the buttons were, but you just press the
It's kind of like button combinations.
it's button combinations to switch, and then you just battle and it's Well, you
No, but yeah, like in that regard, like I would agree with Josh that like for someone like me who's not like a hard, like I mean, not hardcore, but not casual, kind of like moderate gamer.
You're not talking about the cocoon.
no,
Which
not at
famously has two functions.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But like it is a very easy game to like learn how to play, I guess. Like it is very easy to navigate your spells and all that sort of stuff. Probably the most annoying things though in the game, like the two most annoying things for me was that you can't fly your broom over Hogsmeade.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to go to the forest, which is on the other side of Hogsmeade, you've got to fly all the way around it or walk through Hogsmeade to get there. And then there's a part in the game where you can go to like a merchant who can sell you like a upgrade for your broom to make it faster. The first upgrade makes it seem like it's faster, but after that, I don't think it did fuck all.
No, it did, it did absolutely nothing.
Like,
And
you're
it costs
spending so much
exponentially
money.
more
Oh
every
my
time.
God.
Yes.
Yeah, it costs
Like-
so
like-
much.
It was like a school student, and he's like, "This is a $64,000 upgrade." You're just like, "What?"
And you're like, yep, there you go.
Yeah.
Here's my money.
And you get nothing from it. The first
Did it
upgrade
add
is
like extra speed lines around it? Is that why
It
they
probably
made it
did,
seem
yeah.
faster?
most likely,
But even that, like, you notice that after you upgrade it once.
Yeah.
But then when you get to like, because I think you can only upgrade it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
By the last one, you're like, is it even doing anything?
No, it's just it doesn't even
It's
look.
extortion.
It doesn't even look different. It doesn't. The speed doesn't feel any different. You don't unlock any special abilities.
Yeah.
You just
I mean, yeah. Aside from that, it's quite cool that Warner Brothers games did Gotham Knights, which did not really feel like the simulator of your favorite characters. I think it's nice that there is still that spark of a creativity that they nailed with Hogwarts.
There's something cool that I liked about Hogwarts.
Please, Josh.
The fact that each house has their own different storyline.
Yeah, that's quite.
Whereas, with
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
with what's the main one, Gryffindor.
Yeah.
That it's the
Yeah.
longest one.
course it is.
Ravenclaw is the shortest.
Yeah.
Slytherin, there's something special about
They
that.
all just say fuck. And
Yeah,
stab
I don't
people
know
all
what
the
the
time.
I don't know what the Slytherin one has special with it.
Yeah.
But Hufflepuff is the only house you're able to go to
Azkaban.
Azkaban.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
yeah, so I was like I've done the test before and I was Hufflepuff, so I went with Hufflepuff and I went to Azkaban. I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. but you didn't
And
know that it was locked.
afterwards, I was like, I think 2 or 3 days later, I read, only Hufflepuffs can go to Azkaban. I was like, oh, that's sick. Go Hufflepuff. Woo.
I was about to say, why are the school kids going to Azkaban? I was like,
Yeah.
It's Harry Potter.
It's like it's part of the game. I think you go like with a teacher
Yeah,
or
what
something.
the fuck did you do in that school that sent you
Yeah.
to Azkaban?
Yeah.
Something so.
Max and I played this. I think this would probably be her game of the year. Not that she played much, but like Sam said, you know, it was she struggled a little bit with 3D controls, but she learnt it quite well, quite quickly, and was playing while I was working, and stuff like that, which was really cool. But Harry Potter, like, she grew up with it. She loves it. We're rewatching all of the movies, and I can see the references between the two, even though they're hundreds of years apart. Because like the headmaster of this one is Sirius Black's great grandfather or something, and so he's in the movies and things like that as like a reference, or as a person on a wall in a picture, things like that, which is cool. But we ended up platinuming it. Part of the platinum is getting to a certain point in the game, which is about 2 hours in, for every house. So you basically have to replay the first 2 hours of the game 4 times. Even just getting to that point, the point leading to the map chamber is the point that you have to get to unlock that achievement. The mission kind of getting you to that point is different for every house. So leading up to that point, it's mostly the same. But then, Gryffindor, you do a bunch of stuff with Nearly Headless Nick, and Slytherin, you get there a different way. They're all leading to one particular like ghost that takes you to his tomb, that then leads you to the map room. But leading to the ghost is a different sort of set of missions and different storylines.
If you're a Slytherin, is the end game being a sellout for the rest of your life? Like, you just never.
I think that's coming in the DLC.
Yeah, cool.
That's it.
You head to Australia and do ads for Uber Eats.
100%.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Or you kill your neighbor.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah. So
he kills it. There's an ad where he says hello to his neighbor and then kills him.
Tom Felton.
Because you guys, he does like a spell to make
I've not seen any of these.
The neighbor's garbage bag
so
disappear.
funny.
Yeah, but Tom accidentally points out the neighbor and he disappears, and so like Tom's walking around the streets like,
I killed a man.
Yeah, I killed a man, and then eventually like they're hunting him down, and then they slam him on the bonnet of a police car and everything, and handcuff him.
Yeah,
it's fun. But I was just gonna say,
yeah.
Legit, it's on TV.
That's
really
the full
funny.
Ad.
I have not seen that much of the ad.
And it says like at the end of it, it's like magic,
ice magic instead of magic.
It's like magic.
Yeah.
No, ice magic.
Yeah. I've seen that part, but it's Tom Felton just going back in his house and just eating ice cream.
Yeah. So
that's it.
Him
Actually,
getting arrested.
Maybe the police.
I think there is a full version. There totally is.
But the reason why Hogwarts is not my number one is for 2 reasons. Mm-hmm. One is a main reason.
Yep. One's
just a little tiny thing. But anyway, the main reason is I haven't done to Hogwarts what I've done to number 1. And the second thing,
What have you done?
Just wait till my turn. And then the second thing is, I think my number one game just had a slightly better story. Had a.
I see that. I see what you did to your.
I know.
Better.
I know what he did.
Better storyline.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
This ad is insane.
Yeah.
They go on a manhunt for him.
Yeah.
I need to watch this thing. Can you link it to me, Ben?
Yeah.
So your number 2, Will?
Yeah. My number 2 is a number 2. I shit myself. No, it was Ghost Runner 2. Let's see, because that's a number 2. But it wasn't a number 2. It was a very good game. It would be more like a number 1. I'd held my number 1 for a long time, and I was like, man, I can't wait to release this. And then they released this.
It's great.
The metaphor makes sense.
I love it.
Ben, what's your number 2?
Look, I adore Ghost Runner. I think it was on my list when it came out for that year. This sequel is that again for maybe 25% of the game, and then you hop on a motorcycle and the world opens up, and a lot more of the levels are set in the outer reaches of this cyberpunky and post-apocalyptic area. There's some awesome vehicle combat stuff. I didn't think that they would be able to do that because the first game is so parkour based. So it was exciting to see that kind of connect up. And the one thing I will say, because I don't have much else to say, if you enjoy kind of parkour, twitchy games, this is totally a one to play, especially if you've got a good beefy rig. Do you have a beefy rig, Josh? Or a modern console? I'd say something that's going to make this look good. I totally recommend to play that.
Just quickly while we're... no, you finish and then I'll...
No.
While we're referring to
I would just say, when I say my number one game, play it in the opposite order. Play my number one game and then play this game, because I fucked myself up by playing my two and one too close.
Very fair. Very fair. I bought this game. I pre-ordered this game. Like, it's been installed for a while. I booted it up. Speaking of beefy rigs, for some reason, this game released without ray tracing, which is incredible considering it's so focused on like insane lighting and looking pretty and stuff. Apparently, it seems like they couldn't get it working very well. They're having issues pre-release, like in the old demos that they were putting out for it. So it's coming in a later update. So and I bought a big graphics card this year, and I was like, well, if I'm going to play it, I want to play it looking like as good as it can. So I'm waiting for that. I
will say both
jump into it,
this one and the original, and I was playing the original on my old PC. Both of them the loudest, like make my computer the loudest it's ever been. Like it screams when it plays these games.
Yeah,
and they are pretty, but I'm like, these things are not optimized.
Yeah, the original one looked like it would have ray tracing.
Totally.
No, well, they do a very good job of making non-ray trace graphics. Without getting too much into the, like, they use like screen space stuff in like the best way that anyone does. They do an incredibly good job of it, to the point where I booted it up and I was like, I don't think it's ray tracing.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, good fun. That's my number two. Your number two, Ben?
Yeah, this is the last game I'm going to talk about. I'm going to shoot the special mentions. I'm just going to roll through a bunch of stuff real quick that I haven't talked about. But there's a lot of great games this year. A couple that we already mentioned: Viewfinder, Jedi Survivor, Hi-Fi Rush, Mario Wonder, all great. Sea of Stars, also fantastic. I've played more of it than Josh. This is one I've been working on recently. Might have made it onto my list if I'd actually gotten as far into it as I wanted to, but it's very good. Dredge, never got. Still, I'll finish it before the end of the year, Josh, and give you your copy back. But yes, Dredge is great. Marvel Snap, been playing throughout the year. Again, still fantastic game. Love it. Bramble the Mountain King was a cute little indie game that I enjoyed a lot. Weird little horror game.
Little Game Pass horror game.
Yeah. Cool. And then Lethal Company, which has been kind of going a bit viral recently, which I've been playing a lot with friends over the past few weeks, which it's in early access at the moment. I hope gets like a lot of support and updates, because whenever it does get its full release, I'm pretty confident it will make its way onto my game of the year. But I wanted to mention it now because it is already in a very good spot, and I've been enjoying playing it a lot the past couple of weeks with friends. So
I just looked up Lethal Company on Google, and it came up. It's like results for. It's just like bizarre. Like, what kind of company?
No. What's going on in here? What the heck?
Just for everyone listening, you didn't hear what it was, but Josh said his home address, and that was why it was funny.
Thank you.
There's a funny noise there instead.
Yeah.
Funny noise.
Ben, do you want to make the funny noise that'll go over that?
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I pulled that out of something. Speaking of...
Speaking of pulling things out of things.
I mean, you do it in this game.
All right.
It's been a long day.
That's true.
My final game I would talk about, which is number 2, number 1, who knows, bloody brilliant masterpiece of
number
game.
3, if anything.
3. Yeah, number 3. Yeah, we go. Will's got it. Baldur's Gate 3 is... I don't know what to say. It's a great bloody game.
Yeah.
It is massive. If anything, again, the reason this is below Cocoon is just because it was so big that it's kind of overwhelming. But a lot of games can be so big it's overwhelming that make you not want to play. Like, I constantly wanted to go back to this. I played it with my friend Matt. We played it as like a co-op playthrough all the way through, which was also very good, I think, from a pacing perspective, because it made me appreciate it, playing it in like, because I couldn't play it all the time because I had to wait till it were both available, and that made me like, you know, like sit with it a bit more. And I think like, just like talk about Cocoon being great at small scope. This is great at like just the biggest possible scope for a game ever, to the point where I don't know how it's been made. Like, we'll talk about Zelda in a bit. I think this is more incredible that this has been made than Zelda, and Zelda's pretty incredible. Like, because we talked about D&D movie earlier in an earlier podcast today, or earlier day, depending on when you listen to it. This translates D&D into a video game in a way nothing ever has. In the sense of the agency you have to do your own thing. Like, the problem has always been that the idea of playing D&D on a table, or like, you know, that kind of thing, is that you have so much agency over what you do and so much control. And the problem when you have to put that into a video game is you have to code in like specific requirements for certain stuff to happen. But the way they've gotten around that, and the way they're still let you do so much in so many different ways, like, makes you think the amount of like contingencies they have planned for, to the point where it's crazy. And they're still supporting the game an insane amount, to the point where their 5th major patch came out the other day. This game came out like 4-5 months ago. It's their 5th major patch. And it was like a full, because one of the things people weren't too happy with was like the ending of the game, which it's always hard to land a game that is this big and like have a satisfying ending. But they patched in like a full epilogue set 6 months after the game, where you have like a conversation with your party members like later, with like full new dialogue and everything, just like randomly out of the blue. Popped in one night onto Twitter, and it was like, oh, okay. It's just incredible.
Is that the 30 gigabyte patch that actually apparently takes 130 gigabytes to install, and so they recommend that you completely uninstall the game and reinstall it?
So
but like that's too much space.
That's how big it is, and the game's only been out for like 4-5, like, because it's already takes up a ton of space, because it's just a massive game. I will be replaying this for years, like, genuinely, because I think there's so many different ways you can play it, and I think it will always be installed on my computer, like, from now on, and just, you know, play it with other people, do solo playthroughs. I'm excited I'm sure they're going to make DLC at some point, or, you know, sequels, whatever.
It feels like a universe they could turn into like a GTA Online style, like, or Destiny 2 or something.
Thought you were going to say, it feels like a universe they could turn into a board game.
Imagine.
A movie.
Yeah, but I feel like they could just keep adding stuff onto that.
So excited to like mod it as well. Like, mods are going to be crazy. I already know that there's mods that just add like a ton of new playable like races and stuff to it. Or it's so good. It's so good, man. I'm just like, and I'm also, the last thing I'll say about it, I'm very happy because Larry and the developers of this have been making the Divinity Original Sin games. And Josh and I talked about this a bit on the podcast earlier this year, but that was like, Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 are very much like, we wanted to make a D&D game, but we couldn't officially have it be D&D, so we made our version of what we think that the best version of that would possibly be. And it's like this independent developer giving it a go. And like, those games, very well critically acclaimed, but much more niche, like, not as many people have played them because they don't have the name power behind it, any of that. I think
because they didn't make Baldur's Gate 1
Yeah, totally. 2. Yeah, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are much older games. But I think this game releases just at a perfect time of everything, with the movie releasing this year, D&D Twitch streams being as huge, giant, massive of a thing as they are, and also, just having the power of the actual like IP behind it now, and being like a D&D game set in the D&D universe and all that, just like all hit so perfectly that I am so happy for like. There's all the conversation around the Jeff Keighley Game Awards stuff is like, this is technically an independent developer that they have made this game, which is insane in itself. But like, I'm so happy for them that like this has gone as huge as it has, because I would never ever expected, even given all that people would be as receptive to it as. But it looks like it's just going to like sweep Game Awards in a year where Zelda came out and stuff.
Everyone listening, get used to hearing the words Baldur's Gate 3.
No, totally, because it's just like, and you know, like I'm genuinely like so happy for them that they've had that success, because you know they've been making great games for ages, and it's nice to like, yeah, they'll get full recognition for it, which I think is great. And you know, Zelda's had its time. Speaking of Zelda, Josh.
We're not there yet.
Somehow.
Aren't we? Oh, we're at 2.
Nah, I'm still at number 2.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you go 2 then.
There you go. So my number 2, in a year where we got 2 entries in this IP's thing, one a DLC and one a VR game. We got Horizon Lego back there. We got a big Horizon thing up there. I'm going to be talking about the VR game. Horizon Call of the Mountain. When I first months ago got my VR2, this came with it, and I jumped in. Probably only played it for maybe 15-20 minutes because I was playing a whole bunch of things that I'd also purchased that day, and sharing it around to like Max and my parents came down not long after I got it and threw them into VR as well for their first experience in it. Yeah, I've replayed the intro of this game so many times, and then last week jumped in and played probably an hour and a half straight of it, and it is so freaking good. It is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, Horizon Call of the Mountain, it's in the Horizon Zero Dawn universe. You start off in a very Skyrim sort of way where you're a prisoner, and you're on a boat, and there's just 2 people like sort of talking at you whilst you're going down a river, and there is just the robots, proper full scale, obviously, because you're in VR, so you're seeing through the eyes of an actual person. The Horizon robots just walking around you. They've got a freaking like tall neck walking over the top of you over the river, and you see like the size of their feet are like the size of a house, and it's insane to see in VR. It makes me feel sick when I do play for an hour and a half, so I do need to play in much shorter chunks. But I played through like a bunch of story. I've stood in front of Aloy, the main character of the Horizon universe, stood in front of her, and you know, she had to lead me through to an area, and then she sort of pissed off and I was on my own. There's a lot of climbing like you see in VR. There's like the climb game where you climb across mountains and things.
And there's also the song "The Climb" by Miley Cyrus.
There is, yeah. That's the first time you climb, that song starts playing. And then some of the other really cool things is like to craft. In Horizon, you craft like poison arrows and things like that. And when you do that, you just have to collect the items and then press a button and they're there. But in this, the pieces are there and you have to put them on the bow and like piece the bow together. And then when I don't think I've used them yet, but soon I'll be climbing up like an ice mountain. And so I had to create my own ice picks out of different pieces. And you literally like put the different parts of the ice pick on, and then you get a piece of rope and you have to like wrap it very strategically, exactly how they show you where to wrap it, so that it's wrapped like this, and you get around every piece of it to actually hold it together.
If you fuck up, does Aloy come over and kick you?
She doesn't, unfortunately. But if
Dolphin and I would be so in if that happened.
I wanted to like muck around with seeing how much you could mess with the NPCs and stuff. And when you like reach out to touch them, they just kind of lean back.
Amazing.
There's just like a little lean back so you can't get to their face. The point where I was like, I'm so in on this is when you actually have a fight, like essentially like a lion robot and you just have a bow and arrow. Just the mechanics for like dodging side to side as they're attacking you, and then having to like reach over and grab an arrow and then pull back, and like you got to actually aim and try and get them in their eye, or in the Horizon games you can actually like knock off pieces of them and things like that. Just insane. Like such a cool experience, so freaking wild that it works as well as it does. And it works like in real time as well. Just friggin' crazy. And then when you defeat them, like for the watches, in the normal PS5 game, you would go over and just loot their body. It would come up with all the pieces you can loot out of them. In this, you go over and you grab the eye and you pull the eye out, and all of the wires sort of like, try to be resistant, and you sort of have to like yank it to fully pull the eye out of a watcher and pieces off these robots. It's such a cool experience. I'm really keen to keep jumping in and playing it, but yeah, it's absolutely exceeded my expectations for this and for just VR in general. Really keen to get more like high quality storyline experiences out of VR games.
Making me want to play Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, totally.
Bought it ages ago and have a quest.
Yeah, I literally just sold my Oculus last weekend, so I no longer can. But
you can come over to my place.
Ben can chuck you.
Sorry?
Ben can chuck you into the...
That's right, chuck me in.
We'll chuck each other.
Like, I'm happy to, like, lend you my PSVR 2 over the Christmas break and stuff. Ben, if you like.
Look at this.
That's cute.
The spirit of Christmas.
There you go, yeah. Because I'll be gone for, like, 2 weeks, so you can't keep it. It costs more than a PS5.
Ben could literally chuck you, though, so, they could just throw you.
That's just pretty small.
They could throw me across the room.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. So that is my number 2. Just
amazing.
An insane experience that I've never had before. Loved it.
All right, boys. Talk about Spider-Man 2.
Oh, Sammy G, do you have Spider-Man 2 as well? Number 1.
I do. Spider-Man is my number 1.
Wow, look at that.
Before you get into it, I should probably highlight, you may have noticed it wasn't on my list anywhere. I don't hate I knew they were going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
we've talked about it for an hour.
Yeah. So that's why I'm really not going to say anything about it. I'm just going to say that I liked it. It has its problems, but I didn't play many games this year, so it's my number 1. Keen to see what they do with that whole sort of world and universe going forward. So
thanks for hanging out with us for this thing.
Yeah.
Did we all platinum it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I haven't yet.
Okay.
Do you want to know why
I'm at like 98% or something.
Yeah, go.
Amazing.
Well, what I did with
Jeffrey Dahmer has something to say.
Hey, shut up. What I did with with Spider-Man 2 that I didn't do with Hogwarts is I platinumed it.
There you go.
So, yes, I
Finch's
have never
first platinum. We're so proud.
Thank you.
Let's clap again. Everybody clap again. We clapped last time. We'll clap again.
So good.
Thank you. The only person I didn't clap from last time was Sam. So that's all I wanted.
Yeah, sorry. My bad.
That's okay. You weren't on. Were you on the podcast?
The podcast? You're not on the podcast.
Sorry, that's my
you were
German.
absent from the podcast.
Oh, that's right. Sam wasn't there. No, Sam, you should talk more about why you like the game.
Yeah.
Sam.
No, I mean, well, it's.
Did you talk? Wait, no, you were. He was in the.
Because I put small bits in, and I feel like it would just repeat what. You guys have said you liked about it anyway, so to save us all time, I feel like I'll just say I liked it. It's number 1 for me.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Is there any mission or storyline or like side thing collectible that stood out to you, Sam? Just to be able to say anything about it.
Just so we feel like we haven't kept you hostage for an hour and 30 minutes
for this podcast.
No, I mean, like, really, I did thoroughly enjoy all of it. I loved mainly the whole arc of Peter getting just more and more angry as the game went on. And I didn't get more and more angry because I didn't experience any bugs or issues with the game, which I was just so thankful for.
Yeah,
Sorry,
isn't that great? It was a pretty bug-free game. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was great.
Pretty perf.
Dust.
But yeah, so that's Spider-Man.
That's unfortunate.
I mean, you two are both in a similar position with your 7 podcasts under your belt. But do you want a little Zelda?
Because you haven't talked about your number one yet, have you?
I haven't. No, I haven't. That's true.
Wait, no, you should go last because it's probably the only one that. Yeah. I was just gonna say, Josh, do you want your number one?
My number one and Ben's number 4.
Yeah, but be 1 to 4.
Could have been anywhere in there. Yeah, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, of course. Just absolutely adored this game. It's a phenomenal feat of engineering to get that game working on a Switch as well as it did. I would know currently. I'm absolutely
phenomenal feat of engineering to get it work on anything.
Yeah,
it's true.
Like then on the Switch is like another level.
It's true. I am tearing my hair out at work right now with a game that I'm porting, and it's insane. It's it's just such a beautiful game. The story is stunning. I feel like the story definitely goes beyond what Breath of the Wild was.
Yeah, easily. It has a story.
It has a much. It's a much stronger story.
Yeah.
And just jumping between, not in gameplay, but jumping between 2 time periods in cutscene and stuff. It's actually kind of part of the side quest, but also kind of not at the same time because it's pretty necessary to do in the end. But it just, it's just a beautiful like story telling both sides of what's happening. And I don't know, like all the side stuff that you can do, the collectibles and the side missions and stuff all feel so lovingly crafted and like such kind of unique and special experiences, each one. Like the love for sign guy online. There was just this one guy that always had a sign that he was trying to put up and he couldn't keep it up. And you had to help him keep it up, you know? It's a problem
it's
we all
exactly
have.
what it was.
Yeah. So you have to use like Tears of the Kingdom's building mechanics and things like that to put together some sort of like stand for the sign to be held up. And it's amazing. If you listen
could
to...
make a pill.
It could just be a pill, yeah.
Yeah. If you listen to last week's catch up that Will and I did, I talked about a guy that has used the building and the like the crafting and the different mechanical items where you can build vehicles and weapons and things like that. He's turned that into an actual subject at university for an engineering thing, because every item has different properties and different energy usages in different ways and things, and he's using that as a case study for those sorts of things. And every kid gets every pair of kids gets a Switch and a copy of the game, and they have to share it and do studies and things into it. It's really cool. Like it just
like shows how good the systems are. Like it is.
Yeah.
Because engineers are making the engineer shit in this. Like it's so impressive.
It's wild. It gets to the crazy stuff that people can build in Minecraft. It's like it feels like that to some extent. And it's also like, a lot of the pieces they sort of clip together, but you often have to do it in quite a not quite pixel perfect, but like kind of angle perfect way. Because there's one particular thing which was like a hover bike that people discovered you could make. You could make it very, very easily. But if one of those things was just slightly out, then the whole thing would just hover off to the side and would be next to impossible to control. So the fact that it's that sort of perfect and that any slight mistake can affect the building to that level and that it's that solid as well to build, and that the Switch can handle it. It's ridiculous. It's such an incredible game. Plus the fact that it's got literally 3 layers now as well. There's the normal overworld. There's islands in the sky, which they advertised so much, but they ended up being one of the least interesting levels of the game.
Yeah, the underground was much bigger.
The underground was fascinating, and no one knew it existed until the game came out. Just really, really cool just ideas that they've thrown into this.
Basically nothing to add. You summed it up well, and we summed it up more in depth in 7 episodes of Hyrulean Hijinks.
We did.
Which you can find on ETTO. But we're probably where you're watching this right now. The only thing I'll add to it, what was I going to add to it? Oh, no. I was going to add one thing to it, though.
Okay. Here are the links.
Oh, wow. This is incredible. It's just completely gone out of my brain.
Almost like we've been recording for 9 hours.
Yeah. No, it's just a bloody good game.
Yeah, it is.
Damn it.
It's all right. You can interrupt me if you think of it.
Something was good.
Cut me off.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, but genuinely fantastic, and I think it's special game.
In any other year, it should win Game of the Year everywhere. Seriously, but it's
it won't do it.
It's
won't
just
even scratch
crazy
it
this year.
Yeah. It'd be very interesting. I mean, no, yeah, it is locked away on platform as well. I was going to say Baldur's Gate is PC, but I guess it's about the same. My number one is a game that I've just adored, and I'm so glad I slipped myself into. Yeah, so
go with it.
Yeah, and it was a very fun time we had together. Especially recently, we had another fun time together when we were stuck in the same room together for a week. So we just couldn't get enough of each other. Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty DLC technically, but also the game is fixed, and so therefore it is a new game. It is 2.0. I adored every second I've spent in this video game. Again,
played it twice this year.
Totally. I've played through the game twice this year. And experienced a couple of different endings as well. Obviously, Phantom Liberty is a whole new, about 12-hour story that's inserted into the late game, and you can start it at any point.
I thought you said the lake game.
The lake
game. Like, what?
That's right. Fucking post in the Cyberpunk universe. There was a stupid line in Lake's DLC where they're like, one day you won't even have to send letters. It'll just appear in front of you. I'm like, I guess that's emails. The fuck? Number 9 game, that one.
That's great.
But I tried to play Cyberpunk when it first came out, and my computer screamed at me. It said, fuck you. And I went, that's fair. That's very fair. And then when I got a brand new computer, I was like, now's the time. And it still said, fuck you. And I said, fuck you.
Yeah, no, it still screams at you.
Yeah.
But it works.
That I can fight back now. It was an awesome experience playing through it. I played through the game once before the massive overhaul, and the things that have changed, the mechanics are huge. They actually released another massive update today, which adds...
Why do they keep doing this? All the games.
I know, just huge changes. Yeah, totally similar to Baldur's Gate. There's new romantic things that you can do with your romance partners. There is added races throughout the game. They've added another probably 10 hours of content in just a DLC that dropped today.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even like a major numbered patch. It was like 2.1.
Yeah,
so
they're just like, here's more.
When you just said added races, just then the way you said races, I thought you were going to be like added racism.
You meant car races, but I heard
races,
people races.
Like this.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I was like,
that's also what I thought.
That's fair. Yeah. That's fair. Car races, everybody.
Yeah.
You don't need to add races to video games. They're already there. That's not a patch. I wish it was to get rid of them. But yeah, I enjoyed every second. The Phantom Liberty DLC is maybe better, is functionally better than the story of the main game. It actually feels, because it's tighter, it's a little bit shorter, and the new ending that the game adds is, I don't think they'll do it, but it could almost be the ending of the game if they ever made a sequel. It's so it wraps up so much of the video game in a way that a side story ending probably shouldn't. But I adore it. If anyone's been holding off from playing Cyberpunk, the time is absolutely now.
It's my holiday task.
Good.
I've literally been keeping this one for the holidays because I'm like, I need to sit down with it and.
Mine's either Alan Wake or Baldur's Gate, and I can't decide what I want to do. It may be Alan Wake just because it will end.
Yeah, no, I think Alan Wake's probably the one.
Yeah, but yeah, Cyberpunk. Please, if you've got it downloaded and went, now's the time to go. So jump in and have a look. That's my number one. We have a bunch of picks. I'm gonna go through them quickly. This has been a podcast of length. But some picks from the patrons. Dion says Spider-Man 2, actually Miles Morales if they were to pick their favorite game, but because it didn't come out this year, they'll just say Spider-Man 2. Milk shouts for Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. So I'm so mad that the game has been so slept on, considering how refreshing it was to that style of game and revitalizing people's interest in that style. I played it too. I think some of us may have. It's fun.
I've been playing it. I feel like I'm probably about halfway through or a little bit further than that. It's really cool. I loved Jet Set Radio Future, and I do want to play Jet Set Radio soon, which is the first one on the Dreamcast. Very cool.
Good fun. Didn't quite make the list, but maybe an honorable mention for me. B-Mac shouts Planet of Lana. Antonio says Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. Laughing Seals says they did the same thing last year. Again, it didn't actually come out this year. They were thinking about the Red Dead Redemption port on Switch, but they've actually said that The Last of Us Part 1 is their game of last year, but also this year. They've tried to play the remake on PlayStation 4, but this is the thing that made them fall in love with the game. So they're excited to get the same sort of thing with Part 2 next year, which would be very cool. Sam, I bet you're just frothing at the bit for...
we know it's going to be his top of the list next year.
It'll be
number one, baby.
Number one. Joshy goes with Bramble the Mountain King, a cute game mixed with some of the creepiest grim fairy tale horror elements to skyrocket one's blood pressure. JS says Alan Wake 2, then we got a Baldur's Gate 3 from both Dump Days and Luke, and Dolphin Pants with his Street Fighter 6. As expected. It was going to be that or Mortal Kombat from that boy. Thank you to everyone that sent pics through for all of these videos. It's been very fun. It's been a long day for this little gang.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you all, as we've already said. I don't know if this is going out as the last thing that goes out this year, but if it is, it'll be the last bit of content from us, from all of us
Merry
at least.
Christmas and Happy New Year.
Are we done? You're calling
sorry.
it again, Josh? You
got some other things to say.
This is the last time that you'll see all of our faces.
I'll do it.
And you want to fucking cut it off.
Okay, you go. Continue.
Do you want to let's just slow down?
Okay, yes, I'll slow down.
Do you want to say goodbye?
In a sec. You speak first.
I'll throw it to we'll go around the horn, but as we've already announced, it has taken a bit of a breather, a bit of a break in the new year. So these big bits of content have been, I don't mean to attack you, by the way. It's just very fun.
I know.
We're doing a little bit, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we are.
Right?
Bits.
I'm paying you, right?
No. We've already announced that, we'll be wrapping for the year. I hope you've enjoyed these massive bits of content that we've dropped in your face. And we can go around the horn, just little farewells, I guess. It's like standing at a rap party for the end of the year.
Wow.
Anyone talk?
I'll go first. Thank you everyone for listening to all these, but also listening across this year. And Josh and I doing some experiments with some game related stuff. We had a lot of fun with it. And it's a bit bittersweet to be we can't keep it up at anywhere near the same cadence if much at all. But, you know, it was still very fun to do it and hear how much all of you enjoyed it. And, you know, it's always great to chat to you all on the Discord, and that won't stop for sure. So I'm totally very keen to chat with you all about games and comics and all that jazz. But yeah, thank you so much for your listening and just being a good bunch of peeps.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just loved doing this. We will be back probably quite infrequently throughout time. I
would say our loose plan is at least to try and do these.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This won't go. Things of the year definitely won't.
So you'll see us at least in a year.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Hopefully a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been like so much fun to get to know you guys and to have you drop in and out of streams and getting your questions and recommendations and all that sort of stuff. Don't let it stop because, as we've said, we will be around on the Discord, of course, and be trying to get ourselves more into the community rather than kind of over the top of it, I guess. Should be great. It's been super fun. Loved it.
We'll do a sappy one in the catch up at some point.
We will.
Yeah. Sam, I mean, we're gonna keep annoying them with stuff anyway. But
I was gonna say, you know what both like them two boys have just said. You know. Yeah, just like thank you guys so much for always being there and supporting us and watching our stuff and listening to our stuff and being in the Discord. Will and I will most likely still be around doing that figures, hopefully. And then there'll be the odd bit of content every now and then. So if you feel like it, hang around for that.
Josh, you're fresh face.
Yeah, I'm fresh face. It's been fresh. Sorry, it's been a long day.
It has.
It's been nice getting into more content. Just showing my face and my opinions on some things. Hopefully with what we do next year, whatever next year looks like, hopefully I can jump in on a few things and
do you want to predict the death of any monarchs or anything?
Oh, yes, mate.
Okay, give us a prediction.
I reckon it'll be, I was going to say the Queen's husband, but he already died.
Yeah, he
died before.
That's true.
I reckon it'll be one of her kids. Is it
one of her? She has one, right?
She has four.
Oh, four. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Wait, Elizabeth?
Yeah, Elizabeth has four. So Charles, then a daughter, then who's the
Anne, Andrew, and
Andrew? That's it. Andrew's the guy that went off with that.
Yeah, the problem one. Yeah,
the problem child. And then there's a fourth one no one knows about because they are the fourth one.
Yeah,
and who really cares about the fourth child in a monarch?
Who's gonna die?
I reckon it's gonna be the Andrew or Charles.
Sick. All right.
So
cool.
Nice.
Put your money on it, folks.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
Josh's next appearance. Next appearance will be.
Get your horoscope from me.
Good. Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this journey. We'll see you in the new year, but hopefully your new years are lovely and full of adventures and fun stuff. And we'll see you all very soon. Josh, do you want to cut me off again?
Okay. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Woo!
Very nice.
Yeah, let's dance out again. Will it be Arthur? Will it be Pickwick triplets? Will it be a song from Alan Wake 2?
It should be an Alan Wake 2 song.
Okay.
Or probably a Christmas song.
Michael Bublé Christmas song.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Pretty lights on the tree. I'm watching them shine.